Sources to order, and clerk, please open the roll.
Mr. Chair, you have a quorum?
Okay, we appear to have a very loose quorum, which is fine. Yeah, okay. And, all right, well, I have a list, and I'm going to take a little bit of chairman's privilege about taking Delegate Wright first, because he left me a handwritten note, and I was in the House with him 22 years ago. So go ahead, Tommy.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I appreciate it. Members of the committee, House Bill 1623 has a substitute, and I move the substitute.
Well, I think we'll do that. Can we have a motion, a second, to adopt the substitute? All in favor, say aye. Aye. Okay. All right, we don't have the substitute. Do we not even have it online? All right, okay, let's go backwards, because we don't have it in front of us.
Okay.
Huh? Okay, hold on one second.
So there is no substitute.
Okay. I take that back. The substitute was just in the House. There's no substitute.
Okay, all right, let's reconsider. Okay, we've had a motion and a second to reconsider the vote by which we adopted a non-existent substitute. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Okay, so we have the bill in front of us that came out of the House of, is that a recorded vote?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Okay, hold on. We're good. All right, go ahead, speak to the bill that came out of the House.
House Bill 1623 is an agency bill. It increases government efficiency by eliminating three reports that DEQ is required to submit. After deliberations with all interested parties, we reduced the number of reports from 5 to 3 that would be eliminated. And they are the Eastern Virginia Groundwater Management Advisory Committee report, the Virginia Roanoke River Basin Advisory Report, and the DEQ Office of Pollution Prevention Annual Report. I might add that the Virginia Roanoke River Basin Advisory Committee doesn't even meet anymore. I used to serve on that committee, but it doesn't meet anymore. And this information will still be collected by DEQ, but it just will not be put out and report in a published form. In other words, it can still be gotten online and on other websites. So the information will still be there.
Okay. So we basically have a bill to eliminate reports, and it sounds like at least one of the bodies doesn't meet anymore. Is there anyone here that's here to speak on this bill? And I have a question. Senator Mason? Oh, Mike, why don't you come forward and tell us where DEQ is on this bill?
DEQ strongly supports this bill. It's an agency request from us.
Okay, let me ask you then,
Sure.
Director Rollman, the pollution control, air pollution, seems like that would be a fairly salient topic. Why are we eliminating that report?
It's not air pollution, it's pollution prevention. And it's pollution prevention report, and all the information is on our website. We just regurgitate the existing information.
Okay, all right. Any other questions?
Mr. Chairman.
Senator Mason.
So, Mr. Olman, I think I asked for the Eastern Virginia Groundwater Management. So
I think you did.
It's very prideful.
We talked about it.
No, but I mean, we just not. That's a big deal.
Right. So frequently they've had some problems getting quorums to have the meeting, but when they do have the meeting, we post minutes and we put them on the town hall website. So the information, all we do now for the report is regurgitate what's there. So we're just trying to reduce workload and have our staff do things that are more effective in terms of protecting the environment.
Mr. Chairman.
Yes, sir.
So what kind of focus and attention are you putting on the Eastern Virginia groundwater management area for, what's your plan on the go forward? I don't care.
Right now, I'm in the middle of trying to get additional money reallocated within our agency to be able to do the groundwater studies that were outsourced. We don't have enough funding to actually do these groundwater modeling. Okay. So we're in the middle of revising that right now. I have money in another area, so we're in the process of contracting to actually do studies that protect the groundwater.
Very well. Thank you, sir.
Okay. Senator Hashmi.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I'm just concerned about reducing
Senator, can you put your mic on, please?
Thank you. Is that working now?
Yes, ma'am.
I'm just concerned about the ways in which we're reducing opportunities for the public and for other parties to find out this information. It's on the website, as you mentioned, and so forth. But having a report that's distributed, that's accessible, would you agree that having multiple ways of highlighting perhaps any toxins or pollutants that are in the stream is more essential than not reporting regularly?
Well, the genesis of this, this bill was our legislative policy staff at the time, Andy Jenkins and Brandon Bull, who's Brandon's in charge now. They told me about all these reports that they write, or our staff writes, that they review, that no one has ever said a word about and ever made a comment, never asked for a copy. So they felt like they're wasting their time. And so that's what I'm looking at. I'm just listening to professional staff that have been here a long time that said they feel like what they're doing is not meeting.
Okay, let me do this. You said there's 3 reports, Roanoke River, or Senator Hashmi, do you have further questions? Roanoke River Basin. How many folks in the audience have either requested or read this report for Roanoke River Basin? Okay, I got Sam. All right, that's fair. All right. How about
Mr. Chair? I was going to say about the Roanoke River Basin, I was appointed to that, was interested in what we were going to do. There was one meeting called, it got canceled a week beforehand. I think Delegate Rasul was supposed to be at that one too. And then they never rescheduled it. I've never heard from them ever again.
So I personally reviewed that report this year, and it's several pages long, and there's one operative sentence. We did not meet.
Okay, all right. How about Eastern Virginia groundwater? Put your hands up. Okay, Shannon, Mike. There may be a written quiz on it. Okay. And the last one was the, what was it, the pollution?
Yeah, pollution prevention.
Pollution prevention. Pollution prevention. Has anyone, put your hands up if you read the pollution prevention report from DEQ. And I'm not being facetious, but the 100 people gathered in this room are going to be more attuned to these issues than anyone else. And so, let's face it, if we're not reading these reports, then they're probably not getting read. You did. All right. Anybody else would like to comment on this bill, Delegate Wright's bill? Pro or con? Okay, Delegate, you get the last word.
I would just request that you pass the bill.
Okay. Okay, we have a motion, a second to report the bill. Clerk, open the roll.
Ayes 7, noes 4.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you. All right, let's start with the list. I have, is Delegate Wilt here? Gone. Okay, I've got Delegate Edmonds.
Good afternoon, Mr. Chairman. I have a few bills for you.
Okay.
Which do you prefer? Which one to start
Why
with?
don't you, let's go in numeric going. Oh, you know what? Okay, why don't we do this? The problem is someone. Okay, why don't we do this? Why don't you take a moment, Jimmy?
Sure.
And someone had put some leaflet on top of my script here. Okay. I have a list of uncontested identical bills, and I'm going to just read them for the record. House Bill 1662, that's one of yours. House Bill 1663, those are both conveyance of easements for a state park. House Bill 1828, another easement bill for a state park. House Bill 1839, that's Taylor for South Central Wastewater Authority. Senate Bill 1848, Waxman, Stormwater Management and Erosion and Settlement Control. House Bill 2095, Boulevard, that's Drought Prevention Programs. House Bill 2181, Moorfield, subaqueous beds in non-tidal waters, permit requirements. House Bill 2285, Wiley, Conveyance of Easement, Shenandoah River State Park. And House Bill 2390, Runyon, Virginia Erosion and Stormwater Management Act. And these are all cognates of Senate bills that passed unanimously, I believe, correct? MJ? All right, so the chair will accept a motion to just pass those so we can get those folks out of here. Second. We have a motion and a second to take those as a block. Clerk, open the roll. This is to pass those bills.
Ayes 12, no zero.
Okay, ayes 12, no zero. So if you're waiting around on one of those bills, it's moving on. All right, Delegate Edmonds, why don't you move on to your other bills?
Yes, sir. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Mr. Chairman, House Bill 2282. As you probably know, agriculture and forestry are currently exempt from the stormwater and erosion control law. And what this bill does is it allows a landowner who begins a timber operation to finish that harvest, even if during the middle of the harvest that they decide to change the end use of that property at some point. That's pretty much all the bill does.
Okay, I think we're gonna have to comment on, I had this same exact bill, but it never actually went to a vote in this committee. All right, whoever's in favor of this bill, please step forward. In favor.
Good afternoon again.
Director.
Thank you. The genesis of this bill started when I first took over, and Danville and Pittsylvania County contacted me about a Berry Hill mega project. They wanted to harvest the trees for two purposes. One is for income that they could use to invest in some further engineering work at the Berry Hill mega park. And number two, they were trying to attract large manufacturing economic development projects and that were larger than the existing pad that they had. So they wanted to harvest the trees. I had to inform them, and our staff, gave me all the details, although I didn't know about this issue, that it is against the law for someone to harvest the trees when the proposed use is not silviculture, which includes the requirement to either replant or naturally regenerate the forest. So they disagree with me, okay? And I said I would look at the problem and work on it with our staff. We tried to do guidance to try to help economic development throughout the state, and we found that we could not do that because of this law. So we want to provide a very specific, tiny exemption that allows people to harvest trees. We're not allowing them to clear and grade and scrape the site and do a construction site. That needs erosion controls and stormwater management. We want them to do what they would do if they were harvesting the trees. That is done frequently without any approvals, despite what the law says. So I have to enforce that law. But they make a good point that we just timber the product, the wood, leave it on the ground, which you're allowed to do. And it's done, as you know, in many projects throughout the state. They just cut the trees down and let them sit on the ground till their plans are processed. And then the wood is no longer very valuable or useful for many wood products. So we're wasting a resource. So all I want to do is help economic development, prevent waste of a resource.
All right, let me make sure I understand this. So you have a stand of trees.
Yes.
And the landowner wants to harvest those trees, cut them down, not for timbering, not to go sell them and replant and sell them again, but rather they want to cut them down because there may be a development?
No, and they want to resell, they want to sell that timber.
Right.
Okay, for the income.
Right.
Yeah, and develop that property for some other use. It could be a school, okay? That schools have very tight deadlines, okay?
Okay, so, but I'm sorry to cut you off, but, so they want to timber the property, but really, in reality, what they want to do is clear the property and develop it.
Eventually, yes, but they have to have the plans approved for that.
Okay.
So right now, what they can do, and they do it, they just cut the trees and leave them sit on the ground. And when the plans are approved, then they remove them. So it's a timing issue, okay? The physical acts don't change. And the fact is, if they want to just timber it, they're allowed to timber it.
Right.
I mean, that just is the way it is right now. So I'm trying to help people for economic development purposes, as well as there's all sorts of public projects. And the reason that's critical is that since we started these discussions, the U.S. Fish and Wildlife Service listed a species, the northern long-eared bat, from threatened to endangered. The proposed time of year restriction, and say it's proposed, we're going to get guidance on the last day of the March,
Right.
and effective April 1st, you're not allowed to cut trees until November 15th, hopefully, unless you do a bat survey and find that they don't live there. Hopefully that will get resolved or reduced in scope, but right now it's a problem. So for many public investments, public projects, power lines, for example, for electrification, you need to cut trees down. You need substations, you need schools, you need all sorts of roads. For all those things, there's a potential delay if we don't pass this legislation.
Okay, all right.
Thank you.
Thank you, Director. Anyone else in support? Come on forward.
Mr. Chairman, Rob Bohannon here representing the Virginia Economic Developers Association. Director Rolban said it perfectly, but we talk a lot now about economic development, making Virginia more competitive. This is a tool in the toolbox that would help do that and move things along quicker.
Okay, all right.
Mr. Chairman.
Senator Marsden.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Question for the patron. Delegate Edmonds, would there be any potential danger here in a number of different jurisdictions, sort of doing a lot of tree clearing on spec, trying to draw businesses to their jurisdiction, and knowing that there's only going to be so much of that, and that you might end up with all these multiple sites that didn't get selected by corporations for manufacturing or whatever purposes? Is there any danger here in that?
Mr. Chairman, Senator Marsden, I'd hate to speculate on what may or may not happen with someone's intended use, but I would hope there'd be no abuse of the bill should it pass. So I couldn't speak to that.
Okay. All right, Senator Hashmi. Yep.
Mr. Chairman, just a question for the patron. So if I'm reading this correctly, are we taking DEQ as well as the locality, the local governance out of the picture, out of the process then, if we agree to this bill?
So Senator Peterson, or Chairman Peterson, Senator Hashmi, no. So you're not taking them out unless the use changes. Right now, as he stated, you could, as my understanding, a landowner can begin harvesting timber on a forestry and ag exemption and go to completion without a stormwater issue at all. But should they decide midstream to change the use, i.e. a power line or a economic development project, then they have to completely stop cutting. Or either if they've cut it and haven't harvested all the trees, they have to leave those laying and then have the permit applied for. So this would at least let them finish the harvest operation and utilize that timber resource.
All right. Okay, anyone else in favor? Mike, I see you hovering.
Yes.
Okay. Come forward.
Yes. Just want to communicate the Virginia Manufacturers Association's support for this bill. Thank
Okay,
you.
Great. All righty. Folks opposing the bill? Anyone opposing this bill? Okay. And we're going to have a 5-minute time limit, so get right to the point. Tell us who you are, who you represent, and let's get right to the point.
Good afternoon, Mitchell Smiley, Virginia Municipal League. We oppose the bill. We're concerned this would create local water quality issues and would remove the ability of local government to ensure that local water quality is protected during a development. And so I think we have a lot of concerns over local water quality and what this impact would be by creating a new exemption for development specifically in the stormwater code. So thank you.
Thanks. Okay.
Mr. Chairman, members of the committee, good afternoon. Chris Pomeroy, representing the Municipal Stormwater Association. And the association also opposes the bill. I want to say at the outset that we've worked hard, and the administration have worked hard over the past many days to try to find common ground on this. And unfortunately, just over the past half a day, that did not pan out. There's a lot of erosion risk at issue with the activities that would be authorized or exempted under the bill, including building access roads for ingress and egress and staging areas, and doing the work of loading and hauling out the trees off these properties. There's also, with the way the bill is structured presently, no consideration given to how long the site might be denuded and sit there exposed to the elements before some eventual development with future controls might happen. So we do view this as having a lot of erosion risk due to some of these aspects that haven't been buttoned up, and for that reason opposed. Thank you.
Okay. Yes, sir.
Mr. Chairman, members of the committee, Chris Sigler with Fairfax County. Fairfax County also opposes the bill, and I won't repeat what the others have said, but I would add that Mr. Chairman, you've got a bill with Vienna right now that deals with tree canopy, and one of Fairfax County's concerns is if these lots aren't being reforested and there's some other use that's going to be used, that use is development. So developers could use this exemption, which is a permanent exemption that we're putting in the code. They can use this exemption to clear the trees and harvest the timber before the locality would even know about it. So there's no ability for us to come in and preserve those trees using our statutes. So it's a real problem, and it gives developers a free rein. So in addition to the other comments you heard before, we oppose the bill.
Got it. Okay.
Mr. Chair, hello. My name is James Hutzer with Virginia Association of Counties. We also oppose the bill for erosion, sediment control reasons, water quality reasons.
Okay. Thank you.
Mr. Chair, members of the committee, Patrick Fanning with the Chesapeake Bay Foundation. We also oppose the bill. One comment that hasn't been made that I want to point out, the bill language you will see, it leaves it up to the person harvesting the trees to determine what is the minimum land disturbance necessary to get the trees out. DEQ is not going to be investigating that. The locality no longer has authority to investigate it. So it's up to each property owner or harvester to determine what's the minimum land disturbance necessary. And this is coming at a time when we're already behind on our stormwater WIP goals, so we oppose the bill.
Okay.
Thank you.
Chris.
Mr. Chair, members of the committee, for the reasons previously expressed and the scope, degree, and breadth of the exemptions granted in this bill, Virginia League of Conservation Voters opposes.
Okay. Alana.
Mr. Chairman, members of the committee, Alana Crennan with Arlington County. For reasons previously stated, we oppose the bill.
Okay.
Good afternoon. Sarah Taylor, City of Alexandria. For the reasons previously stated, we also oppose the bill. Thank you.
Okay. All right. That's all-star cast. All right. Anyone else want to speak on the bill for or against?
Can I
Mike.
just follow up?
Yes, you can.
Thank you, sir. Yeah, I know this is a difficult bill for many, okay? But I want to assure you, number one, that DEQ has gone out of its way to work with VAMWA, VACOS, and VAMSA. Get them right. And actually, we agree to every single request that they made, as long as they would support the bill. And they said no. So it's hard to negotiate when you agree to everything and they say no, okay? When it comes to the, some of the environmental groups, as you know, the Bay Foundation said originally they would support this bill last week. So it's hard to negotiate something when you get mixed signals. But that being said, I think there is a clear need for this. And I point out that even Fairfax County, I think if they check, they will find that public facilities people are right now rushing to cut down trees before the bat window. So I've heard that on pretty good sources. So my point is that this is a problem, and we need to address it. But if we don't address it, it doesn't hurt DEQ. I know what I have to do. I will enforce the law against every single person that violates it. And the current exemption allows you not only to harvest trees, but to grade the site and make it a field. So if you think there's erosion control problems, that's what we're allowed to do now. Thank you.
All right. And Mr. Director, I appreciate that, and I think you've eloquently stated your piece. Any other questions or comments from the panel? And here's kind of how I see it, and I'm very sympathetic to the commercial uses here, and my family owns a farm. We do timbering. I get it all. I guess what gives me pause is this idea that you would have a change of use from what would be an ag use to be a commercial, maybe a housing subdivision. And I just feel like, and maybe it's not the intent, but it may be the after effect, that this would be sort of an exception around what would ordinarily be a planning process, that you'd have to get these types of permits. So notwithstanding the fact I had a similar bill at the outside of the session, I'm probably not going to support this one, just to be fair. All right, Chair will accept a motion. Okay, we have a motion and a second to report the bill.
Substitute motion.
Go ahead.
I guess, Mr. Chairman, I would align myself with your comments, and I think this just needs more work. With all due respect to the patron, I move that we PBI the bill.
All right. Mr. Chairman, that? I have a motion and a second to PBI the bill. Clerk, open the roll.
Mr. Chairman, would...
Strike the roll. Strike the roll.
It's only halfway serious, but could we exempt Planning District 8?
No, we can't. No, we cannot. All right, clerk, open the roll. We have this to PBI.
Ayes 7, no 7.
Ayes 7, noes 7. So the motion to PBI fails, which means it's tied. So it's still within the breast of the committee.
Mr. Chairman, could this bill go by for a few minutes, please?
We'll take this bill by temporarily.
All right.
Okay, yeah.
You want me to hang out here or sit back
I
down?
don't know. Hackworth may be getting, I don't know. Yep. All right. So, Delegate, why don't you take a seat and we'll see how that develops. Okay, next on the list. Do we have everyone here? Okay, I have Delegate Wilt. So I skipped over you a moment ago, but now I'm coming back to you.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, committee. Appreciate your indulgence. Have two measures.
Okay.
Would you care 1660, the Dairy Premium Assistance Fund?
Sure. Have we not, that didn't go through on the unassisted or uncontested? Unassisted. It's got to go to finance? Did we not already vote this through at the chairman's desk? No, sir.
No, he didn't.
All right,
do
why
that.
don't you tell me about 1660, Delegate?
Well, Mr. Chairman, my bill, as it's written, it creates a non-reverting fund for the program and also eliminates the sunset. That's pretty much what my bill does. I will say, as I understand, Senator Obenshain has the same bill. I think his has a sunset. Maybe it started out without one and you all put one on. I don't know exactly that history, but nonetheless, that's the differences in the two bills.
Okay.
Mr. Chairman?
Yes, sir. Senator Obenshain.
Because I don't know the strength of the feelings of the Senate Finance Committee on this subject, can I suggest that we conform Delegate Wilt's bill to mine as it left the Senate?
Okay.
And to
that a motion?
report? It is a motion.
Okay, we have a motion and a second to conform to Senator Obenshain's bill. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Okay, bill's conformed to Obenshain's.
Move to report. And
Got a
does it
motion to
need go
report and refer to
finance?
finance. Clerk, open the roll. Okay, 1 for 1.
Ayes 14, no 0.
Okay, what else do you got, Delegate?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman and committee. Before you now is House Bill 1378, the California Emission Standards repeal.
All right.
Yeah, I know it's new to you. Mr. Chairman, and I will not insult the committee. I know you're up on the subject matter and
Yeah.
you've heard it before. But I would simply say that, I think the reason I carried it, I think we should separate ourselves from the California standard. It's important to know that we would still be under the federal regulation that's not lacking in its own account. So I think we would still have that. As far as the direction that we're going in, new emission standards are being implemented too. That's going to continue to reduce emissions. And so from that standpoint, I think we're on the right track. We don't need to link ourselves with the California standards. Mr. Chairman, I'm concerned about the grid. The ability for the grid to be able to handle that is, in the same time, in the whole energy universe, we're considering, decommissioning some electric generations, but then also at the same time, potentially increasing the demand. And that's, Mr. Chairman, my grandmother used to say, hope for the best, but prepare for the worst. And I feel like the position we're in now, we're just hoping for the best. So that's my bill.
Okay, we had a pretty extensive hearing on this a month ago. And so if you're in the audience and you had a very strong position on this bill, and you have had a Saul on the road to Damascus becoming Paul moment, so now you're in the opposite position, come forward and be saved.
Everyone
else, yeah. Everyone else, you can probably stand where you are. So we've heard the testimony on this bill. I appreciate your presentation. The chair will entertain a motion. Okay, hold on a second, let's slow down. Okay, I've got a
Mr.
motion to report and a second from my colleague to the left here.
In the substitute motion,
Substitute motion.
with due respect to the patron, I move that we PBI the bill.
We have a motion to PBI and a second. Clerk, open the roll.
Ayes 9, no 6.
Stanley reverting to his Fairfax County roots.
Having voted on the prevailing side by which to fail. No, I want to do this again.
Okay.
When the bill was passed by indefinitely, I now move that we reconsider that motion.
Okay, all right. All right, yeah,
Okay.
seriously. All right, we have a motion to
Agreeing,
reconsider, a second. Please open the roll.
This is a reconsideration.
Okay.
Ayes 15, no 0.
Okay, ayes 15, no 0. The motion is to PBI, so if you want this bill to pass by indefinitely, i.e. not pass, vote green. If you like the bill, vote red. Open the roll, please.
Ayes 8, no 7.
Okay, all right.
Mr. Chairman, could we try it one more time?
No, I think that's all we got. All right.
Thank you, Mr.
Good
Chairman,
luck.
committee
Thank you,
member. I
Delegate.
appreciate your time.
All right, I have Delegate Waxman next.
Mr. Chair, members of the committee, it's my pleasure to present to you House Bill 1577. 1577 relates to rabid animals. In my district, we've had an occasion on 2 separate times where there's been a person that's been attacked by a rabid animal. The state has the authority to require the owner, if they don't have room at the local animal shelter, the local the owners to quarantine the animal and have it available for observation. There's a deficiency in the current statute that there's nothing that requires that landowner who's confining that animal due to state code to actually allow someone from the state to look at that animal to make sure, 1, they're properly quarantined, and 2, see if they're exhibiting any signs or symptoms of rabies. This has resulted in a couple of cases where people that were bitten had to go through the rabies vaccination series because they couldn't confirm the animal did or did not have symptoms of rabies. This bill passes that. It allows someone at the local health department or their designee to have access to that animal so they can verify that it's quarantined properly and or is exhibiting symptoms during that 10-day quarantine. It did pass our House 99-0.
Okay, wonderful. All right, so the bill has to do with rabid animals and quarantine and access to by the Department of Health. Anyone in favor of the bill? Anyone opposed to the bill? Any rabid animals out there want to speak? Okay, all right, all right. All right, we have a motion, second to report the bill. Clerk, open the roll.
Ayes 15, no 0.
15-0, you're on your way.
Thank you.
All right. Next have Delegate O'Quinn.
Mr. Chair.
Okay, not, yes, okay, Senator Hackworth.
So that is the same bill that I had, I think,
If it was uncontested, we already passed it through, but what bill do you think it is?
1781.
1781.
Make sure here.
Okay, what do we got here?
Yes, so Mr. Chair,
Yes, sir, go ahead.
this is the same bill that I had that passed out of this committee and passed the floor. It is giving the Department of, it's the Southwest Virginia Energy Research and Development Authority that expands their duties and powers, that allows them to be able to get federal funds. And we would just conform that to mine if it has not been conformed, my bill, and that took out the word nuclear in that, Mr. Chair.
Okay. So let's make sure we get this. If we conform this to the Senate bill, it removes the reference to nuclear. Do I have that correct, MJ? Mr. Counsel? We have a substitute.
Conform to
Okay,
mine.
do you need to distribute it, or is it just? Sure, let's distribute the substitute. I have a motion in a second to adopt the substitute. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All right, let's distribute the substitute, and this, okay, all right, let me, because I think there is actually.
Mr. Chair? Mr. Chair?
Yes. Senator Morrissey.
While we're passing this out, did I hear that we're going to conform Delegate O'Quinn's bill to Senator Hackworth's bill?
You heard that correctly.
So we're conforming the substitute now to Senator Hackworth's bill?
Chris, come forward and
Yes,
tell us what
Chris.
we're doing.
Mr. Chairman, Chris Nolan with McGraw Woods on behalf of CNX Resources. We worked with the authority, and you'll recall Will Payne spoke the last time that when Senator Hackworth's bill was before you. What this substitute does, it conforms Delegate O'Quinn's bill to Senator Hackworth's bill as it passed out of the House committee. And what that does, it does three things. One, it takes out the words references to nuclear, which was the position of the Senate. Two, it adds a clause to the definition of coal mine methane to make it consistent with another bill that you've already passed. And three, it strips out the evaluation at the end of the bill because that's contained in another bill and is unnecessary at this time. So if you adopt the substitute and pass it out, the two bills will be the same in each body and it will avoid the need for a conference committee.
Okay.
Correct.
Well, that's helpful. Okay, so we have a substitute for House Bill 1781 in front of us. Do I have a motion? You have a motion to report and refer to finance? I thought we just did that.
We did that.
We did that.
We did that.
We did. Yes, we did. We did not? All right, we have a motion, a second to adopt the substitute. Again, all in favor say aye. Aye. All right, all opposed, no. Okay, substitute is adopted. We have a motion to report and refer to finance. Clerk, open the roll. Off it goes.
Ayes 14, no 0, abstentions 1.
Okay. All righty, Delegate Razul.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, members of the committee. If I can call your attention to House Bill 2189. House Bill 2189 directs the State Water Control Board to adopt regulations that require any industrial user of a publicly owned treatment works facility that receives and cleans any items that may have PFAS to then test both before and after and transmit that. The genesis of the bill, Mr. Chairman, was we had an incident in the Roanoke area that unfortunately cost our local water authority over $13.5 million to remove these toxins, PFAS toxins. We've worked diligently with a variety of stakeholders, including the Manufacturing Association, DEQ, and many others, to arrive at the language that you see before you. And I'm happy to answer any questions that you might have, Mr. Chairman.
Okay. Okay. All right, any questions for Delegate Razul on PFAS? Okay, anyone here to testify, pro or con?
Mr. Chair.
Yes, Senator Morrissey.
I'm just curious, Delegate, it cost your county $13 million. Did the county recover that money from the pollutant, the person who put this PFAS into the water?
Mr. Chairman, Senator Morrissey, sadly, no. Ratepayers will have to pay for that. We currently do not have any regulations on the books to enforce that, but at least with this bill, there will be some testing, so we will ensure that we at least know that this is happening in the future.
Okay. Witnesses, come forward.
Mr. Chairman, Chris Pomeroy, representing the Virginia Municipal Drinking Water Association, comprised of 40 of the larger water utilities around the state, including the one that was impacted by this tortious event on the Roanoke River. And we support the bill for the good that it would do in the future. Thank you.
All righty. Yes, sir.
Wyatt Gordon, Virginia Conservation Network.
We're in support because this bill will help to make sure a situation like the one in Roanoke, where a company was cleaning machinery that was used in the PFAS manufacturing process, doesn't happen again. So as DEQ works to implement guidance from the federal government on tackling PFAS discharges, this bill is a clarification of the existing authority under the Clean Water Act. Thank you.
Okay, great. Yes, ma'am.
Good afternoon, Mr. Chair, members of the committee. Jennifer Wally, Deputy Secretary of Natural and Historic Resources. We strongly support the bill as well, and would just like to thank the patron, Delegate Rasool, for his hard work on this with all the stakeholders.
He's a hardworking
Thank
guy.
you.
Okay, all right. Anyone opposed to the bill? All right, Chair will entertain a motion. Move to report. Okay, but motion and a second to report the bill. Clerk, open the roll, please.
Ayes 15, no zero.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, members of the committee.
Okay, thank you, Delegate. All right, quick housekeeping. I have two animal bills, 2331 and 2348. I should have announced this at the outset. And they are going to be sent to the Dog and Cat Committee with Senator Marsden. So,
Kitty and Puppy Committee.
Is that?
That's what we call it.
Is that more correct?
Oh, no, it's really companion animals.
Companion animals. But 2331 and 2348, Senator Marsden will take them under his loving care. Okay. Delegate Runyon. Delegate Runyon, going once, going twice. Delegate Coiner. Carrie Coiner. Going once, going twice. Delegate Wiley. Wow, we're working right through this. Delegate Campbell. I got a lot of people signed up here, not here. Delegate Hodges, I see you. Okay. Oh, you think so? Okay. Okay. In the morning? Okay. Go ahead, Delegate.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, members of the committee. Let's go ahead. I think we have three today. House Bill 1941. That's okay with everybody.
Okay, so House Bill 1941.
Let's see, let's make sure
What does that
we know
do?
which one.
Loans
Mr.
to
Chairman,
local governments repair.
this deals with loans for septic. A few years ago, we passed legislation that allows for loans to businesses. We expanded to businesses for leaving shorelines for water quality under Virginia Water Facilities loan program. And we started to look at this, and of course, in our rural coastal region, it's not a very good reputation to have, but we're the land of failed septic systems on the East Coast. So we're trying to bring these in line and allow businesses, eligible businesses in the Rural Coastal Virginia Economic Enhancement Authority, which is the Northern Neck, Middle Peninsula, and the Eastern Shore, to allow these businesses to access loans from this program. So we're looking at marinas now that, of course, they're living shoreline. They also want to upgrade their septic at the same time, campgrounds and so forth. So fairly simple bill. And if you look at the bill also, it stresses to be eligible, it shall be located in the area, and it's for the purpose of correcting on-site sewage disposal problems to protect or improve water quality and prevent pollution.
Okay. All right, any questions for Delegate Hodges? All right, anyone want to testify on the bill either in support? Come on up, support.
Mr. Chairman, Kyle Shreve with Advantis on behalf of the Middle Peninsula Planning District Commission. We do support the bill. It will allow us to administer our program more efficiently, as the delegate explained. We support it. Thank you.
Okay. Come forward.
Mr. Chairman, Jay Ford, Chesapeake Bay Foundation. We thank the patron for this bill. It not only will help deal with water quality issues in these communities, as the bill points out, it's in working waterfront, so it helps protect our shellfish industry.
Hey, guys,
as well.
let's pay attention to the
Thanks.
speaker. Thank you. You're in
Thank you.
support.
We are in support. Thank you.
Okay, anyone opposed to the bill?
Move to report.
Okay, I have a motion. And
Just one comment?
Yeah, 1 second. Senator Marsden, you have the floor.
Thank you. I consulted with my expert, Senator Stewart, and I believe the way the bill is written, you could actually use this to solve a straight pipe problem where there is no septic.
Possibly.
That you
I don't
could,
see why not.
that you could use this loan to solve that disastrous
Okay, got
18th
it.
century solution to.
Yes, sir. I don't see why you couldn't.
Okay, great. Thank you.
Okay, so we have a motion and a second to report the bill. Clerk, open the roll.
Ayes 15, no zero.
Ayes 15, no zero. Okay, anything else?
I have House Bill 2393.
Okay.
Okay. Ready? Now, Mr. Chairman, members of the committee, House Bill 2393 deals with resiliency and giving our Secretary of Natural Resources and Historic Resources and our agencies some flexibility to solve some problems with regard to resiliency. As you know, it's a very, very complex problem and one we've been dealing with for a number of years. And part of the problem is say in permitting, say at VMRC for some of these living shorelines, the code now, we're relied on one particular institution for the expertise. So what we're trying to do here is give them the flexibility to access the intellectual capital and our Sea Grant universities and also over at the William & Mary Coastal Policy Institute and give them some flexibility to solve some of these problems. Say for living shorelines, for instance, you need an engineer, or you need the soil scientist at Virginia Tech, or you need the engineers down at ODU, or the plant experts at VIM. So it's just giving them some flexibility to be able to look at it maybe in a different way than when they need to help solve some problems and streamline a little bit.
Okay, wonderful. All right, any questions for the delegate?
Mr. Chair,
Senator Hashmi.
I certainly agree that we should be using the expertise of our research universities. Is there anything, if you could just provide some context, is there any reason why they can't do that already?
In the code now, under resiliency, there is one particular institution that shall be the advisor, say, to the Marine Resources Commission. And we're trying to open that up and give some flexibility. Now, that institution is still included and is still the official advisor. And it's still part of Sea Grant. But this gives, say, the agency some flexibility to go where they need to.
And is that institution VIMS?
Yes, sir.
Okay, all right. Senator Favola.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. And this is a question for the patron. I guess this would just be an ongoing relationship. No report is required at a certain time, or am I correct in concluding it's an ongoing relationship?
It would be an ongoing, and thank you, Mr. Chairman, and thank you, Senator Favola, for the question. It would be an ongoing relationship for the agencies to be able to have the flexibility if they're responding to a particular issue. It just gives them the flexibility. So no reporting. So we wouldn't receive a report, say, on a particular permit for an individual where they need that that expertise.
Mr. Chairman.
Senator Mason.
And you have spoken with, sat with, and talked to VIMS about this and everything?
Yes, sir, I have.
Thank you for doing that. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Okay, any other comments? Anyone opposed to the bill? All right, we have a motion and a second to report the bill. Clerk, open the roll.
Ayes 15, no zero.
Ayes 15, no zero. Okay.
All right, thank you. And House Bill 1664, blue catfish. Thank Senator Stewart for carrying that. Y'all have already taken care of that one?
That's the House counterpart to the bill that I carried in the Senate.
Did we already pass that? No.
That one has to go to finance, I believe.
Was that identical? Was that an identical bill?
1664.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second to report and refer this bill, this is identical to Stewart's
But
bill?
it has to go to finance.
Okay, it has to go to finance, okay. All right,
Yes,
all right,
yes.
we've already had testimony on this, we're not doing it again. All right, clerk, open the roll. This is to send to finance.
Okay.
Ayes 15, no zero.
Ayes 15, no zero, okay.
All right, thank you, Mr. Chairman.
You good, okay, two
Mr.
quick.
Mr. Chairman.
Yes, sir.
Earlier, we had a discussion about House Bill 2282. The motion at that time was to PBI, which failed, so that bill is still before us. And
That bill is still in the rest of the committee, yes, sir.
I would move that bill be passed.
That's the motion.
Okay, is that Delegate Edmonds' bill? Okay, so this is, can you put that up on the screen, please? House Bill 2282, this was the forest crops and the stormwater management program exemption, so that's a motion to report, Senator Ruff?
Yes.
Okay, do we have a second? Okay, so this is a motion to report this bill.
Mr. Chairman,
Senator Favola.
I'm still a little uncomfortable with this, so I'm going to make a substitute motion that we PBI it.
Okay, well, that was the substitute motion, which did not pass, so we're back to the primary motion. Okay, so this is to report the bill. Oh, clerk, open the roll.
Ayes 8, no 7.
Okay, ayes 8, no 7. The bill reports. Okay. You got it. All righty. Okay, two quick things before we move on for more patrons. One, Senator Marston has informed me that the Dog and Cat Committee will meet 7:30 a.m. on Thursday. Okay, and on the off chance it's not on C-SPAN, you can attend in person. And then secondly, House Bill 1781 that we passed, I think there may be a motion to reconsider that.
So moved.
Okay, we have a motion and a second to reconsider 1781. Clerk, open the roll. Okay, let me just briefly say, we reconsider.
Ayes 14, no 0.
Okay, the bill's back before us. We had adopted a substitute, and I think to get it in the same posture we had in the Senate, we need to remove the references to nuclear.
Correct, Mr. Chairman. Chris Nolan, McGuire Woods. Yes, on lines 63 and 64, and lines 68 and 70, and I can read amendments if you want them.
Okay.
Line 63, after the phrase geothermal energy, insert the word "and," so it reads geothermal energy and advanced wind and solar energy. And then you would strike "and advanced reactors and advanced nuclear technologies" on the remainder of lines 63 and 64.
Okay. All right, so.
That's not it.
That's not it?
Not it.
Yep, there are two of them.
There's two places?
Two places, yep.
All right, well, that's one amendment. What's the other one?
Line 68, after the words chain development, you would strike including the, in the remainder of line 68. You would strike all of line 69 and all of 70.
Is that it?
I move the amendments.
Okay, I have a motion and a second to move the amendments. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Okay, the motion passes and bill is amended, and as it now stands, it is in the same form.
Correct.
And we'll send it to report and refer to finance.
Thank you.
Okay,
Second.
clerk, open the roll. We'll report as amended. Go ahead.
Good work, Gonzalo Ashby. Good job.
Ayes 15, no 0.
Ayes 15, no 0. Let me just say as a sidebar, I appreciate honesty. And so I appreciate someone who brought that to our attention, and so we got that corrected, and that's how we work up here. Okay. I am going to move on to Delegate Mullen.
Mr. Chair.
Yes, sir.
House Bill 1968.
1968 was a good year.
Yes, Mr. Chair, that's what everybody tells me.
Yeah.
Tough start.
All right, well, I'll have to let my mom know that you didn't think so, but all right. All right, go ahead.
Mr. Chair, House Bill 1968 is a agency bill that directs the Department of Historic Resources, the Virginia Tourism Authority, and the Department of Transportation to build upon a program that we started last year to identify, publicize, and educate the public about sites around the Commonwealth featured in the Green Book. As many of you are probably aware, the Green Book was written and compiled by Victor Hugo Green beginning in the 1930s through the 1970s. The Green Book was a guide for African American travelers throughout the American South to be able to find safe passage at times when it was not safe to be able to travel as a black traveler. So there are approximately 315 sites listed in the Green Book in about 56 Virginia cities and towns that were listed between 1938 and 1967. Of that 315, there are about 60 that are still standing and need to be studied or developed, with at least about 54 historical signs and markers. What this bill would do, Mr. Chair, is that it would preserve the memory of those businesses and those sites that were served to Black customers throughout the Commonwealth and their contributions to African American history. So this bill would preserve that history by marking significant locations. You should all have copies of the insignia that would be put up on road signs, so you should all have copies of that as well. What you would be able to see is on the signs that we already have of historical markers that are already placed out, there would be a new attachment that would be placed. So that new attachment, similar to the historic trail signs that we already see attached to them, there would be a new attachment that would also be put as well. So this agency bill that's been supported by the governor as well as a number of the other agencies would be putting those attachments on there as well as a way of being able to mark those places that have been noted within the Green Book. Since these locations have already been recognized by the Department of Historic Resources, there are also additional programs that will be able to increase public awareness. These sites are hugely important to our history, and I hope that they get the recognition and protection that they duly deserve. There is no fiscal impact to this since it would be covered with private funds. Preservation Virginia, the Department of Historic Resources, and I believe also, and most importantly, our Chief Diversity Officer are also here to be able to speak on behalf of this bill, Mr. Chair.
Okay, all right, well, the bill, appreciate that. If anyone is in support of this bill, come forward. House Bill 1968. Yes, ma'am.
Good afternoon, Chairman Peterson and members. I'm Julie Langen, Director of the Department of Historic Resources, and we administer the Historic Highway Marker Program. I won't repeat what Delegate Mullen so thoroughly described, but I do want to say that there is precedent for adding small signs to the posts of existing highway markers. The survey of Green Book sites is a collaborative and cumulative effort, and there are some sites that have been noted with highway markers before we ever knew their association with the Green Books. So this is a cost-effective and efficient way of calling attention to those properties by adding the smaller sign to the post. And this is, of course, a bill that we strongly support. I'm happy to answer any questions.
All right, any questions? Thank you, Julie. All right, yes, ma'am.
Mr. Chairman, members of the committee, I'm Elizabeth Costelny with Preservation Virginia, the statewide nonprofit historic preservation organization. We named Green Book sites to our 2021 Most Endangered Historic Places in order to raise awareness of this important history. And we thank Delegate Mullen for this legislation, and we support it. Thank you.
Okay, anyone else want to speak on this legislation? Okay, we have a motion and a second to report the bill. Clerk, open the roll.
Stanley, this time will vote yes.
Okay.
Glad you got it.
Ayes 15, no zero.
Ayes 15, no zero. You're on your way.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Good to see you.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, especially.
Okay, Delegate Coiner.
Good afternoon, Mr. Chair.
Good afternoon.
I do believe there is a technical amendment to this bill to insert the word "be" after "not" on line 29 to make the sentence grammatically correct.
Okay, 1628, what are we saying here? Okay, House Bill 1628, where's the amendment, Delegate?
I believe staff is going to repeat it.
Okay, go ahead.
Thank
Mr. Chair, on line 29, after "not," insert the word "be."
Hold on a second, after "not be available." Okay, very good. All right.
We care about grammar around here.
All right, well, the word "not" is always important. Okay, go ahead, tell us what this is about. We have a motion and a second to adopt the amendment. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Okay, go ahead, what's this about?
Now that we're grammatically correct, Mr. Chair, this bill involves wetland and stream replacement funds. Federal and state law requires development projects to offset their impacts on wetlands and streams, which we know is often accomplished by purchasing mitigation credits from a mitigation bank. Recognizing that mitigation banks and credits are not always available, the Federal Clean Water Act allows developers and local and state governments to mitigate their impacts by providing funds to an in lieu fee program. The General Assembly actually established such a program in 2013 after several economic development projects fell through because of a lack of mitigation credits in those areas. But due to staffing and budgetary constraints at the time, DEQ stalled efforts to obtain approval from the Army Corps to operate the fund. Similar issues are existing today in different jurisdictions. And so I bring this bill forward to you in an effort to allow projects to move forward, in an effort to ensure that mitigation does happen, but to allow us to collect those funds and ensure that projects move forward when they're available. So again, this is a bill that amends our existing statute. It simply ensures that DEQ is planning and is able to ensure funds are put in place and that mitigation projects occur.
Okay. All right, that's the bill. Any questions? Anyone here to speak for or against the bill? Okay, looks like we got a motion and a second. Phil, do you have something to do? Nope. It's got to go to finance. Okay, we have a motion to report and refer to finance. Clerk, open the roll. Okay.
Ayes 15, no zero.
Ayes 15, no zero.
Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Okay, Delegate Runyon, why don't we come back to you?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I appreciate the committee's latitude. So, Mr. Chairman, we have a couple of technical amendments that will make this bill conform with the previously passed Senate Bill 999. The first amendment on line 30, after the word individual, insert and without examination pursuant to subdivision 1.
And this is 1940?
Yes. In the second amendment on line 49, strike all of lines 49, 50, and 51. Amendment 1 is clarifying. Amendment 2 is a strike we meant to make earlier. We have worked with DPOR on this. Everybody is in agreement. DPOR supports these two technical amendments, and again, it makes the bill conform with Senate Bill 999.
Okay,
Right,
can someone report those amendments? I just got this all in front of me.
Yes, sir.
Staff, do you want to report those?
Yes, Mr. Chair. On line 30, after individual, we are inserting and without examination pursuant to subdivision 1. On line 40,
without examination.
Without examination. Yes. And then on line 49, striking all of lines 49, 50, and 51.
Okay, 49. And just in briefly, what do those amendments do? What do they represent?
Well, again, the first one is clarifying, and the second one is a strike to eliminate those sentences that we wish to eliminate earlier and without pulling the original bill out. I don't remember what all that said. So.
Mr. Chairman.
Yeah, Senator Mason.
So so this is my bill. We did the exact same thing on the House side after consultation with DPOR. So they didn't want you to make them think you had to go back and go through the full examination, and then we never intended the 30 days. We just wanted to take out. So we've already done this on the other side, and I move the amendment.
So we have a motion and a second to move the amendments. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Okay, the bill is amended, is back in front of us. What does the bill do?
The bill allows for reciprocal operations among wastewater treatment license, various license, and allows folks that have these licenses in adjacent states to be able to come into the Commonwealth and work in a quicker, more business-friendly manner, sir.
Okay. All right, so the bill's in front of us. I have a motion and a second to report. Clerk, open the roll.
Ayes 15, no zero.
Thank you.
Ayes 15, no zero. You're on your way. Okay.
Excuse me.
Everything okay? Okay, good. All right. I still have in the queue Delegate Campbell, and I have Delegate Wiebert, and some of these, like you said, may have been cognates. I don't see. Is Ferris here? Okay, how about Paul Krizek? There he is. And I'll get the blocks next.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, members of the subcommittee. This HB 1998 directs the Secretaries of Natural Historic Resources, Agriculture and Forestry, and the Administration to coordinate the development of strategic actions state agencies could take to prioritize the use of plant species native to the Commonwealth. These strategies include identifying state properties appropriate to convert into native habitat, prioritizing native plants and trees on state properties, and providing guidance to state agencies on restoring properties that are degraded by invasive species by planting natives. As you all know, planting native plants requires less maintenance and water because they are adapted to Virginia's climate. They need less pruning, fertilizers, pesticides since they're hardier, and they're already best suited to Virginia soils and resistant to Virginia pests. Rather than go through the rest of this discussion here, I think it's pretty self-explanatory that native plants are best. We were able to get this through the House, and I'm hoping that you all will consider this bill favorably. And I'm here for any questions.
Okay. All right, anyone here to testify for or against the bill? Okay. Come forward, sir.
Mr. Chairman, members of the committee, Tom Smith with the Virginia Native Plant Society. For the reason Delegate stated, we support the bill.
Okay, what is a native plant?
Mr. Chairman, a native plant is one that has been here for a long time, is adapted to the existing environment, that is naturally found within a given ecoregion, as opposed to one that's been brought here from, let's say, Asia. Somebody planted it in their backyard, and now we've got things like English ivy and Japanese stilt grass and other
How about
invasive
kudzu?
species.
Is that native?
That is not native.
Okay. And bamboo's not. I got it in my backyard.
A neighbor of mine, sir, just spent $50,000 getting golden bamboo removed from their property.
You know, you used to be able to give it to the National Zoo. They'd feed it to the pandas. But, all right. Okay, anyone got questions? Questions for this witness or for this patron? Okay. All right, we've got a motion and a second to report this bill. Clerk, open the roll.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Ayes 15, no zero.
Ayes 15, no zero. Okay, Delegate Bloxham, come forward.
All right, thank you, Mr. Chairman. We've got a bevy of bills.
Okay, why don't we start with least controversial and work our way up?
Well, most of these have cognates, if you want to start with those. House Bill 1805.
1805, hold on a second.
Is that?
Which one's that? Okay, go ahead and tell us about 1805.
Just adds housing projects to the long list of projects that VRA can bond for. It's for low and moderate income housing.
Okay, Senator Lewis.
Mr. Chairman, that was identical to my bill. I can't remember what the vote was that went out of committee, but I think it was unanimous.
Okay, all right, well, before anyone here to testify for or against House Bill 1805, Virginia Resources Authority? Okay, sounds like it's identical to Lewis's bill that already passed out, so we've got a motion, a second to report and refer to finance. Clerk, open the roll. Okay.
Ayes 15, no zero.
15-0, that's on its way. Next.
All right, thank you, Mr. Chairman. Next bill, House Bill 1807. That is the same as Senate Bill 1392, I think, puts Virginia in compliance with FEMA for state-owned and state-managed properties.
Okay. Yeah, go ahead.
I need to conform with the Senate version.
Mr. Chairman, I move that the bill be conformed to Senate Bill 1392.
Okay, House Bill 1807 needs to be conformed with Senate Bill 1392. I have a motion, a second to conform. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Okay, so you're conformed to the Senate bill. What was the vote coming out of here? 15, 14 to nothing.
That was my
Okay,
bill too,
all right.
Mr. Chairman.
All right, we have a motion, a second to report the bill. All in favor, say aye. Aye. And it's got to go on the board. Very good point. Thank you, guys.
Ayes 15, no zero.
Okay, ayes 15, no zero. That's on its way.
All right, thank you, Mr. Chairman. The next bill is House Bill 1949. This is the same as House Bill 899, and I do think there's some heartburn with the reduction of fees. And I think Senator Lewis was going to adopt the fees, except I think you need to leave the one on line 25.
Okay, let's just because we do have an international audience here, what is this bill about?
Okay, I'm sorry. This is the changing the fees on leased land, oyster ground leasing, and it also changes the public notification to the way it was before 2020. Only
Okay.
needs to be
This is
notified.
Oyster planning grounds and fees. Senator Stewart.
Mr. Chairman, this is identical to the bill that I carried, which I think passed unanimously. It's as a result of a work group that Senator Mason was on for some time. They call it a blue ribbon oyster panel or something that they did a bunch of this work. But I do understand we need an amendment to this bill.
Yeah, I think that staff probably has that.
Okay, staff, do we have an amendment for House Bill 1949?
Yeah.
Thank you. Okay, all right. I did not get one. Got it, I got it. Oh, I did get it, never mind. Okay, staff, can you report this amendment once you're done? Go ahead.
Have you got this?
Have you seen
No,
this?
no.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. On line 4, engross title after 28.2-601, strike 28.2-608. On line,
I'm sorry, wait a minute, Mr. Chairman.
Yeah.
Does Delegate Bloxham have the amendments yet? There's one he doesn't like, and I want to.
All right, well, let's
that
take
out.
these one by one. So the first one is strike 28.2-608. What does that do?
I've got the introduced version here. What we're trying to do is just put the fee schedule back to where it was.
Yes, and except for the fee on
Right.
line 26, which was $5 per,
It doesn't look like.
for the transfer, and that probably needs to be 300. That fee needs to stay
Okay,
where it was.
let's, like I said, let's walk these. So we had Amendment 1, strike 28.2-608. What about Amendment 2? Also strike 28.2-608. And what does that refer to? Okay, so number 3 is strike all of lines 31 through 37. What are we doing there?
That's taking the fee stuff. That's taking the fee changes out. Putting the fee changes. Putting
Well,
the fees
it's
back
taking
where
all
they
the
were.
language on fees out. We're striking all of 31 through 37.
Well, not supposed to.
Okay, do we know what we're doing here? Because I read that as striking, we're basically striking out the whole statute, 28.2-608, which is the fees.
Yeah, that's a mistake.
Okay.
That's.
Let's slow down the train here.
Yeah, that would be taking all the fees away, and what we want to do is leave the fees the way they were before this bill.
Right.
Move the first fee, leave line 25, so we're adjusting only one fee up.
Okay, so what's the purpose is to leave all the fees as is except?
Except on line
26.
26.
Yep. Move
We're
that
gonna
from
that
300 to what?
Leave that to 300.
Leave that at 300.
Yes, sir.
All right, so just so we're all on the same page, we need to reject these amendments, okay? So did we adopt the amendments?
We did not.
All right, do not adopt the amendments. Now, we want to keep this bill so that $5 becomes $300, is that correct?
Yes, sir, Mr. Chairman.
So basically, we should just accept the bill as is, correct?
No.
No?
Look at line
No.
32 through 37. See all the fee changes there?
Okay, so I think with the amendment that we want to make is to strip out all the fee changes, but
Yes.
line 26.
That is correct.
Okay, did you make that motion,
I
Senator
just
Lewis?
did.
All right, we have a motion for Senator Lewis and a second to strip out all of the changes except that on line 26 to move that to the $300 transfer fee. All in favor of that amendment, say aye.
Mr. Chairman.
All right, hold on.
Did you want to affect the changes in line 49, 50, and 51?
I thought we were striking them all out.
All the fee changes.
Did you intend to do that as
Yes,
well?
all the fee changes.
That have to do with leases?
Yep, all the fee changes.
So the only change we're
Is that
making is
right,
line
Delegate
26.
Lawson?
Well, there's
Yeah.
another, there's more substance to the bill than just the fees, but yeah, there's a public notice.
Okay, I didn't mean to
yeah.
interrupt.
Okay, so.
Right, that's correct. There's two parts to this. One was a fee adjustment, and then the other was public notice adjustment.
All right, so the amendment that we're adopting is striking all the fee changes but line 26. Everyone understand that?
Yes.
Okay. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Any opposed? All right, that amendment has now passed, which, that's most of the bill. Now, what's left of the bill?
Okay, what's left of the bill is the fee change on line 26.
Yep.
And then the public notice.
Which is what, where is that?
It is. Yes.
Okay, line 54.
And that was requiring a public notice whenever you transferred clam leases, oyster leases, and even if the use was going to stay the same. By regulation, if the use changes, you have to have a public notice at VMRC.
Okay. Okay. All right, before we vote on that, is there somebody here? Who's here from VMRC? Okay. Okay, is VMRC in the house? Can someone step forward, just tell us
I
what's
was
going on?
trying to hide, Mr. Chairman, behind that.
I saw you behind that
I was
pillar.
trying.
Okay.
Before we start, we have no position. We were just concerned about the funding.
Right.
That was all. So I'm Jamie Green, the Commissioner of VMRC, and I'm here to answer any questions.
Okay, so I think we've dealt with the funding, okay? Or
Yes,
you're okay with that?
Yes, sir.
Okay, now on this notice provision, which we have yet to adopt, what's going on here?
Mr. Chairman, it's actually no public notification on this on transfers. It's only an APO notification, which is adjacent property owners.
Okay.
And this is going to strip out the adjacent property owner notification. Because when you transfer a ground now, a traditional use ground, if you're like, give it to your son, like you're just transferring it to your son.
Right.
Well, if you transfer it to your son, you have to do a notice to APOs, adjacent property owners.
Right.
Well, this will take that out. If you're just going to transfer it to your son, you won't have to do the adjacent property owner notification because you're not changing the use of the ground. If you change the use of the ground to, like, say, Mr. Chairman, to to floating cages, you have to do a whole public notification for that. That's still in place. This is just if the use of the ground is not changing, you don't have to do a notification to the adjacent property owner.
Okay, so I could theoretically sell my oyster cages or oyster traps and not have to give notice to the adjacent property owner?
Yes, sir, but typically in these grounds, there's no cages because you have to get a permit for floating cages.
Okay.
That's a separate, no matter if you have ground or not, or cages or not, in order to get floating cages, you have to get a permit. All ground requirements to change the usage require a public notification and an adjacent property owner notification. This is only if the ground is going to be used within the law where you do not require a permit.
Okay. All right. Anyone here to testify on this bill? And let's adopt this amendment. Can I have a motion to adopt the second amendment? Okay. We did already? Okay. All right. So we have the amendments. Come forward, sir.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. My name is Mike Osterling. I'm the Executive Director of Shellfish Growers of Virginia. We support the bill.
Okay.
We support even the changes. And while we would like to have had our fees reduced, we understand the realities of the situation. Thank you,
Okay.
sir.
Thank you, sir.
Mr. Chairman, members of the committee, Kim Husky, Virginia Seafood Council. We'd like to show VMRC, our friends of VMRC, some love today on Valentine's Day and
There
give
you
them
go.
the necessary fees they need.
Okay. Anyone opposed to the bill? All right. Got a motion and a second to report the bill and refer to finance. Clerk, open the roll. Yes, no? Not to finance? Well, it's got fees. Does that make a difference?
No, the fees didn't change.
Well, the fees, did not ask for it. All right, never mind. I don't know. All right, move to report. Second, open it up. Thanks.
Ayes 15, no zero.
Ayes 15, no zero. Okay. And you got one more.
Two more,
Two
Mr.
more.
Chairman. This one is House Bill 2325. It is the same as Senate Bill 1438. And I think we need to conform to the Senate version.
Hold on. Okay, let's slow down here because I have a note in my file to not conform to the Senate version. At least one person liked your version better coming out of the House. I didn't like it at all, but go ahead.
Mr. Chairman, Mr. Chairman, if I might.
Yes.
The House actually passed the Senate version unamended. They did not adopt the amendment, and I would move that we conform the House version to the Senate version.
And speaking to
Yeah,
speaking to what the House did originally, there's a line that's just really in the description that they wanted to remove, talking about the percentage owned by a foreign country. I kind of agree with Senator Stewart that if you take that out and leave it's a 50-50 threshold in the bill, I'm afraid if you take it out, it would chill investments that might come to the state of Virginia. So that's why I think it's just better to keep it in. I don't think it affects the actual essence of the bill at all. It's in the description of it.
So this is the controlling interest language?
Yes, sir.
Okay. What's the number on this bill again?
2325.
Right. Okay.
I think it was like line 76 was, just through 79 was the question.
Line 76, okay. Yeah, I don't see it. All right. All right, well, this is a bill we've seen before, so I don't think we need to take testimony, at least not from the beginning. And so this would be the same as the bill that went through the Senate.
Yes, sir.
Okay, we have a motion and a second to conform it to the Senate version. I would prefer to keep them unconformed, just so we can kind of cause some confusion. What's that?
No, I was talking, I'm sorry.
Okay. All in favor of the motion to conform, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no? No. I think the ayes have it, unfortunately. All right, but Bill, so we're conformed to the Senate.
Yes, sir, Mr. Chairman, and I think you've heard testimony on the bill before.
Okay, we've heard testimony on this already. We have a motion and a second to report the bill.
You're going to abstain.
Let's see how it goes. I'll let it go through. All right, clerk, open the roll. Yeah, I told him I'd let it through.
Ayes 10, noes 4, abstentions 1.
All right. Okay. Yeah, okay.
The last bill,
I'm
Mr.
selling my land
Chairman.
for data centers, so. Okay.
The last bill, Mr. Chairman, is House Bill 1804. I don't think you've seen this before.
Okay.
It deals with tidal wetland credits. So we're talking about salt marshes. Right now, VMRC is restricted to trading wetlands credits into a HUC, which really, you can actually, on some of the HUCs in the area, you could look across the river and you could not trade across the river on some of these. So like I said, I think with the amendments, is there an amendment on this? Yes. We have an amendment. There is an amendment to bring a little peace in the valley. And what the amendment does, Mr. Chairman, is keep making sure that the trade is of equal value, is what we're trying to get to there. It's got to be of like marsh, like area, like salt content. And I think with that, I think there's be a little bit more buy-in from the people that had some consternation with it before.
Okay. All right, so this is House Bill 1804, Tidal Wetland Mitigation Credits. All right, anyone here to speak for the bill? All right, Shannon, come forward.
Shannon Varney here on behalf of the Virginia Environmental Restoration Association. Thank you for bringing this bill forward. This is another one of the industry's attempts to identify those areas where there might be restrictions on the ability to generate credits where it might not be appropriately restricted. And as in the code now, trading cannot happen between river watersheds. And as he said, there are some areas where you can look across the river and see something that is in a different watershed. This bill is very narrowly drawn. It applies to only a few HUCs right along the western shore of the Chesapeake Bay. It allows trading when there are no other banks within that same area as the impact. It has to have the same plant community and has to have the same salinity level. And in fact, it's confined to one type of salinity level. And it's needed in order to, we see a lot of demand coming in the future for infrastructure and resiliency projects that are going to be met, and they won't be able to happen in just one watershed.
Okay. All right, Senator Morrissey.
Mr. Chairman, sometimes I know when I'm outside of my wheelhouse and comfort zone, and can you explain the difference between this bill and Delegate Coiner's bill that had some similarities to me? Delegate Coiner's bill was the one that passed 15-0 and also dealt with a mitigation bank and
that was, the Delegate Coiner's bill deals with the Wetland and Stream Restoration Fund, which is an in lieu fee fund that that would go to DEQ. Currently in the code, there's a hierarchy. You go to mitigation banks, then in lieu fee funds, then on-site mitigation, things like that. That fund was actually put in the code in 2013 by some mitigation bankers as an extra backstop in case bank credits were not available or the in lieu fee fund that's existing now is not available or would not allow the use of their credits for a particular project. That fund essentially floundered because of lack of resources and some objections from the Corps of Engineers on our statutory language. Delegate Coiner's bill corrected that language so that some of those funds could be used earlier. This just deals with the service area where mitigation banks can be sold. So a private mitigation banker has a bank in one river watershed, the James River watershed, and these hucks right down next to the bay. There's an impact in the York River watershed right across the river. Right now, they can't trade amongst themselves. This bill would allow that trading in that very limited additional area.
So Mr. Chairman,
go ahead.
So I would want to purchase credits from a tidal wetland mitigation bank in a contiguous area if there were no available credits in mine? Is that what this bill does?
That's correct.
Okay. I'm just curious, and what happens if there's no available credits in that contiguous tidal wetlands bank?
You could try to do permittee responsible mitigation. You could actually go farther upstream out of kind. This is trying to get some more in-kind types of mitigation.
Thank you, Mr. Chair.
All right, thank you. Senator Morrissey. Okay, anyone else questions? I kind of have a similar question. So would this be sort of the plan B where if you don't have mitigation opportunities in your own watershed,
yes,
you effectively next door? Okay, anyone else here to testify on the bill, 1804? Come on forward.
Mr. Chair, members of the committee, Patrick Fanning with the Bay Foundation. We just want to thank Delegate Bloxham for working with us on the bill to narrow the scope a little bit to make sure we're only talking about mitigation where there's the same salinity regime and the same plant type. So thank the delegate, and we support the bill.
Okay, great. All right, anyone else have an opportunity to speak? All right, Chair will entertain a motion. Okay. Did we adopt the amendment? I thought we had. Okay, all right. I have a motion and a second to adopt the amendments that are in front of us. All in favor say aye. Aye. Okay, the motion passed. The amendments are adopted. The bill as amended is before us. I have a motion and a second to report. Clerk, open the roll, please.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Yep, thank you.
Ayes 15, no zero.
Ayes 15, no zero. All right. Boulevard.
Afternoon, Mr. Chairman.
Yes, sir. Good to see you.
Good to see you, too. All right, this is, I guess I got three up before you. And can start with House Bill 2095, if that's all right.
Sure.
All right, this one I believe is identical to House Bill, or Senate Bill.
No.
Nope.
That was in the block.
Oh, that was in the block? So that's all done? All right. I got
We
two.
passed that in the block. Yep.
I got two bills, Mr.
Out.
Chairman.
Okay.
All right. The second bill, so this is House Bill 2096. So it deals with a similar issue to what Delegate Krizek was talking about. And this is meant to make a modest but very important dent with respect to controlling invasive plants in Virginia. And so I think as was represented, there are very few parts of Virginia that aren't impacted by invasive species. So that includes kudzu, includes porcelain berry, Bradford pear, garlic mustard, autumn olive, you name it. Those are just a couple of them. And I think DOF kind of sums it up really nicely on their website with respect to invasive plants pose a serious risk to ecosystems. They can cause economic and environmental harm, and they can be costly to control. And so I know in Fairfax and Arlington, they spend about $500,000 each year trying to get rid of these things, and has a huge impact on agriculture and forestry. So this does a couple things. I'll just explain them really quick. So first is to have Virginia lead by example. Makes no sense if we're part of that problem. So basically says, hey, we're not going to use invasive plants when it comes to our landscaping, and we're not going to propagate those unless they're for educational purposes or scientific purposes. Second one is to formalize that invasive plant list. And so there's a lot of people who rely on that, but it's actually not a formal document. And so we got a lot of head nods when we said, this is something we need to make sure it's going through a process and it's being updated on a regular basis. The third one is just making sure that customers are aware when a landscaper or landscape architecture is proposing invasive plants in their landscape plan. So instead of you or I going in to a nursery and we can inform ourselves, this is when you're relying on a professional. And so this just says, hey, if that professional is putting together a plan with invasive plants, that they got to let you know so you can say, hey, wait a minute, I don't think I want to go ahead and do that. Really glad to have the support of the Virginia chapter of American Society of Landscape Architects who helped to put that together. That's part of their best practices. And then finally, this is something that deals with a problem that Farm Bureau and agribusiness had struggled with. And that's any movement of a noxious weed, so even one that's well established and well beyond control, requires a permit in order to go ahead and move that. And so the problem is that during a bona fide agricultural operation, you'll inadvertently go ahead and move noxious weeds, and technically that requires a permit. This just gives VDACs the ability not to require a permit in that situation. And so that actually gets our farmers out of a jam when they accidentally move those. And so I'm not aware of any opposition. I just want to thank Farm Bureau and Agribusiness for helping to perfect the language, as well as a number of stakeholders who helped out likewise. So, Mr. Chairman.
So basically that department will create a list of invasive plant species, and no agency of the Commonwealth shall plant, sell, or propagate those species, in a nutshell.
Yep.
Any questions for the delegate? Okay, anyone want to testify for or opposed? All right, we've got a motion and a second to report the bill. Clerk, open the roll, please. Okay. Okay, next up.
Senate.
All right, thank you.
Ruff.
You got Shane.
You got to vote for Owen Shane. Okay.
Ayes 15, no zero.
Okay, ayes 15, no zero. Okay, what do we got next?
All right, so Mr. Chairman, the next one is House Bill 2101. We do have some line amendments. Mr. Chairman, it might make more sense for me to explain the bill and then adopt them if that's okay with you.
Why don't you tell us what the bill's about, and then we'll take up the amendments.
Perfect. What this bill does, it deals with a very similar issue to one sponsored by Senator Mason. So that was Senate Bill 1348. It was a terrible bill. It was an awful bill, and so we've learned our lesson from that in coming back with you. But the issue in a nutshell, and I think you guys heard this as well, is the Department of Wildlife Resources, they are exempt from the Administrative Processes Act, and so that makes a lot of sense when you're dealing with wildlife issues where time is of the essence. But they have expanded their mission, right? And so they deal with now incidental takes for endangered species. And so you've got DEQ and VMRC that make regulatory decisions and permitting decisions based on info from DWR. And so one of the things that this impacts, for instance, is water intakes, but that's just kind of one example. Senator Mason's really awful bill would have removed the APA exemption altogether with incidental taking of endangered species. And so my understanding was that that was tabled with a letter in another committee. What my bill focuses on is just making sure that DWR's guidance documents are accessible to the public and the regulated community. And so most of these guidance documents right now, they were developed in-house. There's not a consistent way to go ahead and present those to the public. And so all this bill is now is a Section 1 bill that says, hey, DWR, you need to post these guidance documents on the regulatory town hall website, provide a 30-day comment period similar to what other agencies have to do with respect to their guidance documents. And again, this just makes sure that, given that people are now relying on these documents for regulatory purposes outside of DWR, that they are in one single place and in a consistent format, and that's what the bill does, Mr. Chairman.
Okay, any questions for the delegate? Anyone want to speak for or against this bill?
And Mr. Chairman,
Shannon, you coming forward?
Yeah, Mr. Chairman, the amendments deal with the timing issue of when these would go.
You know what,
up,
let's adopt the amendments. I have the amendments in front of us, do I have a motion to adopt?
So moved.
Okay, I have a motion and a second to adopt the amendments, all in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Okay, so the motion passes, the amendments are adopted. Who wants to speak on this bill? Shannon, who do you represent?
Shannon Varner with Trevin Pepper here on behalf of Mission H2O, which is a water supply group of water suppliers and water users. Excuse me, I'm changing hats here. Okay. Obviously, our members get permits from DEQ and VMRC.
Right.
DWR is a consulting agency to those agencies, and their guidance document recommendations are appearing in those permits, and we haven't had opportunity to review them or comment on them, as is typical of other agencies. And all this bill does is bring those documents, guidance documents that are used for that purpose forward, have them available for public comment, just like other guidance documents that are put in the queue for that use. And the line amendments, I worked out with Ryan Brown at DWR to provide them some more time in order to do that.
Okay, I got a question here from Senator Stewart.
Now I got a question. You said it makes them available for public review. I thought, particularly when it comes to the Endangered Species Act, at least those of us on the General Laws Committee thought that was a pretty bad idea. I thought this bill just published these for the folks who need them to get a permit. Do I misunderstand how it reads?
These,
Yeah, I can add that back. So in terms of public review, it's just once they go up on the Virginia Regulatory Town Hall website, they're out there for a 30-day public comment period, and that's it. They don't have to do anything in particular with that, but it does give people a chance to go ahead and lay eyes on them.
Senator Stewart.
Is this going to be with regard to the Endangered Species Act too? Because there are times when DWR needs to move, and I get the fact that your clients want to move too, but does this have any impact on the Endangered Species Act?
Senator, not on any regulations. These are the guidance documents that they've already developed. And so they don't change at all. It just makes sure that they go up on the website. And once they go up on the website, people are allowed to go ahead and comment on them, but it doesn't slow the train down at all with respect to their efficacy.
Okay.
Hopefully.
Mr. Chairman.
Yeah, Senator Stewart.
I misunderstood. I thought you just wanted, for instance, your clients to be able to have access to these documents in planning purposes to get their permits. But if you're going to start publishing these, that's akin to the Administrative Process Act. And DWR already has a process for doing what they do. I mean, this seems to me you're trying to do the same thing as Senator Mason's bill that another committee didn't like.
Mr. Chairman, if I could respond.
Yep.
There were two parts to Senator Mason's bill. One dealt with DWR's APA exemption for regulations and case decisions regarding Endangered Species Act. That's the part that everyone hated.
Right.
That part is no longer in the bill. The other part deals with guidance documents, which DWR is not exempt from that section of the APA that says you need to publish your guidance documents, okay? They haven't been doing that. These guidance documents are ending up in draft permits, and then we're having to deal with that. This just says, but if you're going to use them, put them on the town hall and allow the 30-day public comment period.
Okay, I know this is a section 1 bill, so this is not going in the code. All right, anyone else want to speak on this bill for or against?
Mr. Chairman,
Yes, Senator Stewart.
I may be the lone person here, but why do we need to go beyond just publishing these documents for these folks? It concerns me, particularly when you're talking about the Endangered Species Act, that we're going to take another process. It seems to me all Shannon's clients need are to be able to see those guidance documents to help them prepare their application for a permit. And I guess that's a question to you, Delegate Bolden.
Yeah, no, and I appreciate that. The process that we're using, so when you put a guidance document up on the regulatory town hall website, so that process in the code, once it goes up there, it triggers a 30-day just open.
Waiting period.
Not a waiting period, it's.
Comment period.
It's a comment period. And so again, we're using an existing mechanism to make sure we're getting out there consistent, but it doesn't upset the apple cart with respect to them being effective or moving forward.
Okay, all right, anyone else want to speak on this bill besides Shannon? Okay, all right, Chair will entertain a motion.
Move report.
Okay, I have a motion to report, I'll second it. Clerk, open the roll. Just no Richard. There you go. Who's got Joe's proxy? Linwood, you do. Oh, you
Senator
got it,
Lewis?
Joe.
Ayes 12, noes 3.
Very good. Thank you very much. I really appreciate the questions.
Yep. Okay, I got one delegate left, Delegate Weibert, and then I got a couple other business matters we can take care of once he's done. Yeah, I that's what I have, but you can have that. Or I'll handle it.
Mr.
Delegate,
Chairman,
go ahead.
would you like to go in numerical order, or does it matter?
We'll start, yeah, let's go numeric, work our way up.
Okay. Well, then the first one would be HB 1421, and it just provides that the Virginia Breeders' Fund shall disperse amounts to the breeders of Virginia-bred horses and to the owners of Virginia sires of Virginia-bred horses that finished first, second, and third. It basically codifies what we did in the budget last year. It used to be just first place, and now we're going to pay out to third. And that's all the bill does, Mr. Chairman.
Hold on a second. I don't see this in my stack. Do you have anyone here to testify on the bill? Come on forward. I see someone coming up.
She's on her way out. Is it not in?
I'm sorry.
It's all right. Is it on the docket?
I think, yes,
Okay.
it's on the docket. For some reason, it didn't get printed out in my list, so I'm looking it up right now really quickly. I apologize.
Sure.
I got it. You know what? I'm not connected, okay. Okay, so Virginia-bred horses that finished first, second, or third in races at those race meetings designated by the commission. Okay.
Mhm.
But it's the same amount of money, it just gets spread out.
It just gets spread out. Yes, sir.
Place or show. Any questions for the delegate? All right, seems pretty simple. All right, I have a motion, a second report. Clerk, open the roll. All right, that was easy.
Ayes 15, no 0.
Ayes 15, no 0, so that's on its way.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. The next one is HB 1485, which is the Chesapeake Bay whip bill. And Senator Hanger and I have been conferring, and we are going to conform mine to the Senate version that came out of the Senate, including the floor amendment.
Yep, thank you. So what we'll do is I'll have a motion to conform House Bill 1485 to the Senate versions that passed the floor of the Senate. I have a motion, a second. All in favor, say aye. Aye. And that motion is adopted. And before we vote, I thank you for keeping that together, getting it to the governor's desk, and I look forward to all working on it together.
I do appreciate everyone's hard work.
Okay, we had a comment on this a couple weeks ago, so we're not going to hear it again. Clerk, open the roll, please. Motion to report in a second. All, open the roll, please.
Ayes 14, no zero, abstentions 1.
Okay, ayes 14, no zero, abstention 1, so I get to explain it on the floor. Thrills.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Okay, that's okay. All right. That's all you got?
Yes, sir.
Okay, I have one other bill, and it was Delegate Ferris's bill. Delegate Ferris can't be here today. This is House Bill 2151, and it's an agency bill from DCR. And Matt Wells, do you want to come forward? Tell us what's going on.
Mr. Chairman, members of the committee, Matt Wells, Director of the Department of Conservation and Recreation. Happy to present the bill on behalf of the delegate, if that's acceptable to the committee.
Sure, please do.
As you indicated, this is agency legislation that deals with streamlining the park master planning process. So all of our state parks go through master planning. This is how we set up the course for the parks for the next several decades. It's a significant process. It involves a lot of public comment, takes a year to 2 years to complete. Each park goes through a master plan before it opens, and then a new master plan every 10 years after that. And so we typically have 4 or 5 of these in process every year. In addition to the regularly scheduled master plans, we are also currently required to do a new master plan anytime we acquire any amount of land for a state park, regardless of whether we're putting anything on the land. So if we acquired 1/2 acre for a park, we're supposed to do a new master plan. And anytime we spend more than $500,000 on capital or maintenance. That number hasn't changed since this was passed in 1998. So what the bill does is it removes the master planning trigger based solely on land acquisition, and it takes the $500,000 up to $2 million to adjust for inflation. And this is designed to allow us to do a better job of complying with the statutory requirements and doing the regularly scheduled plans.
Okay.
That's
All
the
right.
bill.
Any questions for Director Wells? And I got some questions. What parks do you have in the planning stage right now?
So we're gonna, right now, Clinch River is going on planning, and we're gonna be kicking off, I think, Mayo River shortly, and then Hayfields Farm will begin in the next couple of years. Brandy Station will be there soon as well. I think we've got a couple of other ones in the queue, and I've got Frank Stovall here. I don't know if we've got anything else.
Can you just tell us where those are? I know where Brandy Station is, but where are the others?
So Mayo is sort of open to the public, but there's a trail that's cut through, but there's nothing substantial.
But where is it?
developed.
Where's
It's
it
in
located?
Henry County.
Henry County, okay.
Hayfields is in Highland. Sweet Run is another one that we'll be doing soon. That's in Loudon.
Okay. It's in Loudon?
It's in Loudon, yes, sir.
And how many total state parks will we have once we get all these?
We will have 45 once we get those done.
Get to 50? It's impressive. And let me just make an editorial comment. If you have not already, please visit our state parks. They are such a wonderful resource. And they're free, and they should be. Or they're inexpensive, they should be free, but that's another conversation. Senator Hanger.
Well, since you made an editorial comment, I want to make
Please.
maybe a bragging comment, just to admit that I was here in 1998 and carried the bill to create the master planning process. So I'm real proud of what's happened over the
That's
years.
something to be proud of.
Appreciate it.
Yeah.
Okay, any other comments for Director Wells? And is there anybody opposed this legislation? All right, we have a motion and a second to report the bill. It's got to go to Finance. Clerk, open the roll. Great.
Thank the committee.
Ayes
Thank you,
15, no
sir.
zero.
All right, is that everything, Michael? Is that our docket for all House bills? Okay, so I believe that resolves for all House bills, so, well, I don't think we have any more meetings. All right. Companion animal, you know what? Once we get companion animals, I may just throw open the doors and invite everybody to come in and testify again, just like old time. I might just, the unanimous consent to put in a fox penning bill, just to, all right, thanks, everybody. Committee's adjourned.